Well, the market's really just sort of hanging here, isn't it? And we can see that it's sort of bowing over and almost rolling over. It's just sort of ready to sort of drop back a little bit. And so I think that's what we need to expect with this. Now, so there's a good case for it to be moving down. The US is correcting a little bit. We have to be careful with the US markets. If I can, I'm just going to take a chart from left field here, and it doesn't matter what stock it is. They're all pretty much doing the same. So with the US markets, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for either, well, we could call that wave 1 or wave A here, then a B, and then we've got 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so forth. So we need to finish off down here. So we'll either come down as an ABC, we need to move up, or we'll come down with a fifth wave coming down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we get 5 waves down here, then we'll have a correction, of course, and then we'll have another 5 down. But if we do get 5 waves down here, this is where we can look to short it over this side over here. So this is something that we could look with our markets as well. This is just a stock, and there's many stocks. And there's one of the important points is that there is the Fed meeting coming in tomorrow, I think it is, Wednesday. So that's really going to dictate the flow of larger money for the US dollar and those sort of things. So we can get a turning point on that, but we'll have a look at the currencies in a minute. So, but basically it's just been sort of holding up there, isn't it? So I think that we need to kind of consider a top being in place. It's either going to have a wave 1 and 2 here, or we'll have a little wave 4 and a push higher at that point. But there's a good case for a bit of a top in here. So let's just I'm not sure what we just go in and have a look at. Okay, well, that's not much difference. Is it 20k tick? What about 5k? Okay, this is kind of interesting because I'd have to put wave 3 here and look for wave 4 over here and then wave 5 up here if I was going to look at something like that. But I've got a feeling that that's not the case. I mean, the other way we can look at it slightly differently as well. But let me just go into 1000 here. Okay, so this kind of sums it up a little bit. We don't need all of those. So we can have a wave 4 coming into play and have that as a wave 3, but we also need to consider a top being in play here. And there's a good case for that because we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1 and 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave. Fourth wave was a little bit small, but really compared to this, it's kind of same. Got a bit messy in here, but we kind of kept our cool, and 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth, fifth, and then the fourth and the fifth. So we can work that top there. So then we've got to, if we work one of these tops, probably this one, then we'd have to look at this, try to figure about this. Is this move down here, is it corrective or is it impulsive, you know? And China's just come back on board as well with from their holidays. So they could be, they could be in a bit of a wave 4 as well. So we need to be a little bit careful. It's not like, here, it's not, we'll have a look in a minute, but it's not like we've got a beautiful, like 5 wave move to the downside here. You know what I mean? And we don't have it in the US yet either. We could get it. And if we do get it, then we can look for the ABC pattern as just mentioned, and we can short it, you know, and based on those 5 waves coming down and those sort of things. We've been looking for a top in the banks as well, and the resources. So let's just go in here onto the 100 and just have a little look at this top area here for this. So this is the top area here. Without splitting hairs too much, it's kind of this one. We're probably looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here somewhere. So it's not really, you know, we could look at this as down for 1 here and ABC for 2 here, or somewhere in here, try to get 5 waves out of that. This is corrective. This is impulsive. This is corrective. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. For 1, 2, 3 here. 4, 5. So it's sort of not the best 5 waves, but we could go from here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could go 3 ABC for 4 and 5, but that doesn't count very well as 5. So there's issues everywhere with this, but what we can do is just ask ourselves, What's the closest largest number, and is that support or is that resistance at the moment? So it came up here and sat up here, but it never made a new high, did it? It started to create lower highs, and then over here it's dropped and it's come back and tested that supply here again and failed at that point. And now if we take this low and this high here and just sort of, we're at the 61.8% here. So that means that if that's breached at that point, this low here, this has come through and sort of checked it a little bit. We could probably even get another check here, but taking this low out here, that would be a little bit significant, and that would be in the group 2 area here of 65. So this is really just for day traders, of course, and this is group 2 here. So this would be something that you'll need to work through on the downside here. So normally when group 2 becomes the resistance, then you know it's rejected this here. It's the same to the upside. If we got support on top of the 30 up here, like 10, 20 and 30, got support on top of that, then we're leaving this number to the upside. But if this becomes the resistance here, then we're leaving this number to the downside. So that's something. So you might say you might normally trade 3 contracts of this. So you could put 1 in here, because what could possibly happen here, anything could happen, of course. It will come down to these lows again, and we're going to get some sort of retest, and we could retest it at this point, you know. But you'd need to leave your stops sort of well out of the way up here for that, you know. That's the risk. So less is more. And also too, we're trading against the trend, and we can see that it's rolling over, but we can't see a very clear impulse wave to the downside. We can see that it's going down. We've got impulse waves to the downside and corrective waves to the upside. Yeah, I mean, it could just pan out as in step 1 here. This could be a wave 1 as well, but if I put it as an A wave here and a B wave here, that will give us something to work off, and then we could look for a C wave coming down here further and all of that. So we're definitely sort of finding weakness up here, and because the US markets are looking a bit weaker at the moment, as I mentioned, we can turn and come down here on this. So let's have a look at CBA for a moment. CBA here. So this is just on a tick chart here. We'll have a look at the bigger picture in a moment. This 100 ticks. So all we've been doing is counting up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can pretty much. I'll just borrow that, put that here, because we're just looking for that top. It looks like some sort of, yeah, we looked at this, didn't we? So look, you can see it's rolling over here, hitting the 10. That was our target area. So I would imagine that this is going to move on down here. We're going to get something like a minimum at this point, you know. So let's just go in and have a look at this in the slightly bigger picture now on the daily chart. Okay, so we've talked about this in a couple of different ways. I mean, really, the market's been moving up and it's bullish, you know, that's the thing. And we know that any country that has been doing business with China, and China's just opening up again, and the DAX, for instance, our market, for instance, the FTSE, for instance, or the English market, I was just reading an article. I just buy the weekend paper and leave it on the table. It'll give me something to read during the week, you know. But Andrew Forrest was saying, you know, and he's got the iron ore and everything. He had the pretty much I don't know, same. I was thinking the same anyway. Is that once the folks move through the COVID thing a little bit, you know, in China, then it will be boom time again, you know, and that's what he was mentioning as well. And I thought, well, that's good confirmation. Somebody that's actually doing something there, you know. I don't do anything there. A new website being developed there, and in China, in Wuhan, actually. So some lovely girls there working on it. So this is bullish, right? Now, we could probably count this up as 1 and 2 here, and probably all of that as the third wave or something or other. I'm not quite sure. I haven't pulled it apart on an intraday, you know, but we'll keep an eye on it. But it's bullish whichever way we look at it. So that's important. So the bank here, this is important as well. And somebody was mentioning from somewhere that the RBA will probably be the first in the world to cut interest rates. So I thought that was interesting. So that's going to give a bit of reprieve. Not that it's going to help. Will it help the banks or not? This case is for both sides of it, isn't there? So I don't know all the numbers. But there's two ways to look at this move on the bullish side. I can have wave 2 here or wave 4 here. I can have wave 1 here. I can have wave 2 here, and then a small 1 and 2. So as I mentioned yesterday, once there's 5 waves here, we'll come back as an ABC pattern here and then move up, or we'll come back for a larger one. In the meantime, it doesn't matter. We're just going to watch this top and turn here at this stage. And look, even if let's just say that I'm totally wrong and we move up here and we just come back a little bit here and then we go up again and we get some sort of support up here, well, we will be going long at that. If we get a pattern to go long on, we will. We're traders, you know, we trade patterns and we use pattern recognition and volume and Elliott and a few other things to help confirm things. But at this stage, this trend needs to be corrected. Yes, it can go higher. We're looking for a correction. There's a couple of possibilities. We'll see how the rest of the world plays out with this as well. But that's where that is. I do want to have a quick look at this is just the XJO here. I want to have a look at the XXJ. So with the XXJ, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going to the upside. So we're basically there at this point in time. We're looking at it on the 15-minute chart as well. So the 1 and the 2, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it looks like we could go another little high here. Maybe we've got a top in, but we're close. Do you know what I mean? That's the takeaway here. So we're close to a top there. The XMJ here. So the resources. We can also have a bit of a top in play here. I think I need to go to the bigger picture for that. Let's just go to the daily chart here for a moment, just get my bearings here. A bit like the banks, really, looking for that, but it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2. It looks like it can go higher, actually. I'll just move them out of the way. It's not going to go far. Let's have a look at BHP and Rio. So the banks are very close to their tops, okay? That's the takeaway there. It must be getting close to 10 o'clock because the platform's resetting. Sorry, I'm just running late. I spent time on the US stocks, so just waiting for this to do so. Basically, while I'm waiting for this, the Feds are having their meeting tomorrow, so that's important. And later this week too, these stocks here are having their earnings. And to me, these are the important ones for those tech sectors, and they'll sort of dictate what happens to the Nasdaq and so on. So that will be important. And we're back here, so we're at the iron ore here at the moment. So with the iron ore as well, this is the same October run up as the ASX 200 and all the rest of the DAX and the Australian dollar and all of those. So we've been looking for tops here, and it does look like this little move here is there's one more little move on this possibly to finish that off. So I don't know if I need to move wave 4 here for this, or I need to go 1 and 2 and build up a little bit higher here. So we were looking at this on the 100 ticks, and I just want to go in and have a look at that. So I could peg a top in here as wave 1 here, and then we're just waiting on this here, and I can see that this looks like it needs to go up. So it looks like I'll have to move this. I'll leave that there as 1 and 2 here, and then look at 3, 4, 5. So iron ore can still go up higher. So when we come to BHP, as you can see, BHP is banging its head against the ceiling here. This is the low here, so there's a good case for it to be topped out here, but we're not going to buy or sell here. We don't want to trade against the trend at this point in time, you know, unless we had 5 waves down. We could short the retracement at that level, but it's, you know, it probably look to roll over. This is Fortescue here. We're also looking for a top here, and we're seeing a bit of weakness in here in the last 2 days. Didn't come down on higher volume yesterday on this. It was on lower volume, so we'll see. But anyway, there's a top is very close for these guys. It's not like you'd want to go, we don't want to go long here on any of this, but we do want to focus on the pullback and buy the pullback here if we can figure out what a nice ABC correction. Rio's done a little bit of a turn here. We looked at this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finishing there, so we probably got a top in, and we'll be looking for some sort of ABC pattern. So if you're long in these markets, and you know, gold is the same as well. So the DAX is the same, the Australian dollar is the same. There's so many markets from these October lows. Some might be, like gold could be the 26th of September. There's some that Bitcoin is the November. You know, there's a, but all across the bottom here, they're all got 5 waves up, and I've been looking for a top, and I think we're more close to it now than ever. So just be mindful if you're holding things long. It doesn't matter. You know, these are big stocks and big markets I'm talking about. So the smaller markets that you may be in the same sectors, they're going to be hit harder, you know. So just be mindful if you're in some smaller, flimsy stocks. Newcrest mining, from the lows here, we've got 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. For 1 here, we've been looking for an ABC correction. This is probably wave 1 down here, or wave B, wave A and B here. So we still need a little ABC pattern over here. So we've never really found support on the 23 here, the top of group 1. So that means we could pull back to this level here. We haven't seen gold roll over just yet. It's becoming weaker, and it can, but it hasn't sort of rolled over just yet. So I'm going to leave that at that. I want to move along a little bit. Now this is important here, because this move in the US dollar, if I'm going back to the daily chart just to brief us on this a little bit, because you know, the world operates really on the interest rate, and money flows in and out of that rate, so follow the money. So this from the top here with the US dollar, we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then we're down for 3, 4, 5 for the third and fourth. So I've been thinking that we've got a low in here, but at the same time I'm not sure, and it's normally gets pulled down to like the 1, the closest largest number here, but it looks like it's been consolidating in a downtrend here. That's what it looks like, in some sort of triangle pattern or whatever. But at the same time, I need to be mindful that if this does push up, and that means that the 102 here, in this case of CFD 10,200, but in normal cases 102, if 102 becomes a tested support, then we're probably in the pathway of looking at this wave 4 coming up here. And while we're moving up in this wave 4, everything else, because the commodities are traded in US dollars to a point, then things are going to, you know, it's going to place pressure on indices, resources, yada, yada, yada. So this is kind of central. So that 102 is really important. So if we go to back down here, we can go wave 4 over here, and then we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1. Beautiful, no problems. Wave 2 here, or wave 2 over here. And then I'm not sure where to put wave 3, 4, and 5. So I can put wave 3 here, and then have wave 4 here, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and have a low in place here. And then that would be the low of wave 5 of 3 at that point, and then we're going to go higher. So if we get a classic trading levels on pattern on 102 here, right, we get a tested support on this level here, that means we're going up for wave 4. And if we're going up for wave 4, then all the other markets around not all, but most of them, will be correcting at that point. If it fails here and moves down, then we're going to see the rest of the markets go for one more move to the upside. So yeah, so that type of thing. So finding support or resistance here is going to be really critical, and this is going to come from it's not going to be easy, and we'll have to wait till after the Feds have said their piece, because we'll need to wait for the dust to settle. Now, it could spike up here or something. If it does that, well, then you know that we're in that mode, you know. So anyway, this will point out where we're going. So I think just tomorrow, 2:30 US, I think it is time that the Feds say their piece, and then that's going to decide where the money's going to flow, and will decide the direction of all the other markets. So just keep that in mind. With the Australian dollar, we've also, from the October lows, it's been counting 5 waves up, like we have been doing with the ASX 200 and all the other markets. It's some of it's easy to understand and count, and some of it's a little bit wobbly and rickety and so on. So I've done my best with it. We've been looking for a top. I think that top's in, and we're also going to have this ABC pattern here. Now, it could be possible that we've just got a wave 4 here, but it's rather a big wave 4 compared to anything in here. It's really left the building at that point, and wave 4s do that, so we need to be a little bit careful. But at the same time too, we've got the classic trading levels pattern here. We've got the rival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and now we're looking for the ABC pattern here, you know. So I think that's where we are with this. So yeah, I'll leave it at that and get this video out. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.